Hello and welcome back to the NastyMetalProductions channel here at YouTube, and welcome to another Friday review. And today's episode, I am here to review Sentinels, the brand new fourth album for Vulture. This album kicks ass. Alright, so with Sentinels here, their brand new fourth full-length album, I've been pretty impressed with their previous releases, again, following them since their 2016 debut with the EP Victim to the Blade. Again, I've just been impressed with a lot of their releases. They've been one of my favorite newer bands. But before I really get into really a lot of my really main sort of takedown for this album, I've stated on this channel already that Ghastly Waves and Battle Graves is my favorite of their full-length albums. But I almost feel like that they might have outdid that album with Sentinels. They've already went on record saying that prior to the release of this album that this is their most straightforward release, and I think they pretty much meant it. A lot of their previous albums, most of the songs, whether it be the intros or their build-ups, they always kind of took time to kind of build up to the song, meaning they just took their time. And it kind of felt overkill here and there with their debut, and even to like Deal in Death, which is probably right now is still my least favorite album from theirs. And this is why I felt like they really bounced back with this sound. And they certainly, not only did they bounce back, but they came back with something that was more striking, more vicious, and just as thrilling and captivating. And it just made this album so good. Just the fact that they toned things down with Deal in Death, they came back with this sound roaring with, like they pretty much made with their statement also, getting back to being wild and crazy again. And they certainly did, but yet not without still incorporating a lot of the elements that you had at least got on Deal in Death. I mean, just from the beginning, sort of screams that you hear at Screams from the Avatar, then into Unhallowed and Forgotten, Realm of the Impaler, Death Row, Oathbreaker. They really got back to being just as wild and crazy again, and they are just as vicious. They are easily great meat grinders, and they do not hold back on basically cutting your throat with this, just the most sharpest serrated blade that they can carve out. It is that freaking good. But it doesn't just stop there. They do incorporate a lot of the more melodic elements, something that almost borders on being sort of power metal-like, very almost traditional metal to some cases too. And it's really felt in something like Where There's a Whip, parentheses, There's a Way. This track, of course, has that. It's very galloping too, but very speedy. But it's also very catchy as well, and it's very hooky. It's built around hooks, and it's what makes it really dang good. And then, of course, you have Draw Your Blades, Gargoyles, and even the title track. These, of course, they're a little bit mid-paced. However, in the case for the title track, it is really mid-paced, but it really kind of ends the album perfectly. But to be on, let's say, like Draw Your Blades and Gargoyles, I really hear some big Merciful Fate influences on these songs, and it is really awesome. And I'm really reminded like early Merciful Fate. It's felt there. But then we also have, let's say, the lone sort of instrumental song on the album, that being the German titling of Der Tod tragt Schwarzenlater, which is German for Death Wears Black Wings. This one again starts off very melancholic in a way, but once it does, it just has this way of where use it as a way to kind of build up to the actual song. When it does, it is a very sort of galloping, very melodic power metal track, and it is awesome. But once it kind of ends on a very sort of ominous note, that ominous note uses as its way to kind of segue into the sort of blistering, very serrated thrasher that is Death Row. And again, you're just back on track. But again, with Sentinels, the title track, it has got that almost Euro, so almost accept inspired sort of Teutonic heavy metal vibe, and it's perfect. I love it. But there still isn't. There is still sort of a short little instrumental, that being Transylvania, which is 37 seconds. It is, of course, the basically the intro for Rim of the Impaler, and it is very, very, let's say, melodic in some cases. It works as sort of as a build-up, and it's great. And I love the atmosphere that it is able to kind of build upon, and it works as that great segue into Rim of the Impaler, and you're just slammed into a wall with this song. And every one of these, there's, to me, nothing bad on this album, and each time I listen to it, it just gets better and better. What a fantastic album, and I really do feel it's one of their strongest albums to date. And it is a contender for probably right now one of my favorite albums from them. Might be my second favorite, or it could become my main favorite, dethroning Ghastly Waves and Battered Graves. There we have it. So, of course, I know all of you probably have checked out, Sentinels. If you have, let's say, any sort of thoughts, whether they are either positive or negative, you can leave them all down in the comment section below. But if you still have yet to check out this album, please do so. I'm going to leave you a link to their Bandcamp page, especially Metal Blade's Bandcamp page, where you can check this album out. And now, actually, I just forgot to give out my rating for here, since it's very unconventional. It's a 10 out of 10. So there you go. I hope all of you enjoyed. This is Heavy Thrasher saying I'm out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.